The Lost Cat. Chapter 1. Whiskers Goes Missing. It was a sunny Saturday morning, and the small town of Brooksville was just beginning to wake up. Birds chirped in the trees, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Mia, an 11-year-old girl with bright, curious eyes, was enjoying her breakfast on the porch. Her orange tabby cat, Whiskers, lay beside her, lazily stretching in the sunlight. Mia loved Whiskers more than anything. They had been together since she was 6 years old. Whiskers was a playful and adventurous cat who loved to explore the garden, chase butterflies, and climb the old oak tree at the back of their yard. But today, Whiskers seemed restless. He kept staring at the front gate, his tail twitching back and forth. "What's wrong, Whiskers?" Mia asked, noticing his behavior. "Do you want to go outside?" Whiskers meowed softly and jumped off the porch, heading toward the gate. Mia decided to follow him, thinking he just wanted a little walk. She opened the gate, and Whiskers darted out, faster than she had ever seen him move. "Wait, Whiskers!" Mia called out, but the cat had already disappeared down the street. Mia's heart sank. Whiskers had never run away like this before. She quickly put on her shoes, grabbed a small bag of cat treats, and ran after him. Chapter 2. The Search Begins. Mia walked down the street, calling Whiskers' name. "Whiskers! Here, kitty kitty," she shouted, shaking the bag of treats. She walked past the Johnsons' house, where Mrs. Johnson was watering her flowers. "Hello, Mia," Mrs. Johnson greeted her with a warm smile. "What are you doing out so early?" "Hi, Mrs. Johnson," Mia replied. "I'm looking for my cat, Whiskers. He ran away, and I can't find him." Mrs. Johnson nodded thoughtfully. "Oh, I saw a cat running toward the park a few minutes ago. Maybe it was Whiskers?" "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson," Mia said, feeling a spark of hope. She hurried down the street toward the small park at the end of the block. As she entered the park, she looked around carefully. There were a few children playing on the swings, an elderly man reading a newspaper on a bench, and a couple walking their dog. But there was no sign of Whiskers. Mia decided to ask the elderly man. "Excuse me, sir," she began politely. "Have you seen an orange cat around here? His name is Whiskers, and he has a white patch on his chest." The man looked up from his newspaper and smiled. "I did see a cat, young lady, but it was a gray one. I'm sorry, I haven't seen your orange cat." Mia thanked him and continued her search. She walked around the park, looking under the benches, behind the bushes, and even up in the trees. But Whiskers was nowhere to be found. Feeling a little discouraged, Mia decided to try the next street. Chapter 3. Meeting New Friends. As she walked, Mia saw a boy about her age, sitting on the curb with his skateboard. He had dark, curly hair and was wearing a blue cap. He looked up as she approached. "Hi," Mia said, slightly out of breath. "I'm looking for my cat, Whiskers. He's orange with a white patch on his chest. Have you seen him?" The boy shook his head. "No, I haven't seen a cat. But I can help you look for him. My name's Max, by the way." "Thanks, Max," Mia replied, feeling grateful for the help. "I'm Mia." They began searching together, calling Whiskers' name as they walked. After a few minutes, they saw an old lady sitting on her porch, knitting. Max waved to her. "Hi, Mrs. Lopez. Have you seen an orange cat around here?" Mrs. Lopez looked up from her knitting. "Oh, yes. I saw an orange cat sneaking into my garden just a while ago. I tried to call him, but he ran away. He might still be there." Mia's heart skipped a beat. "Thank you, Mrs. Lopez," she said, rushing toward the garden with Max. They carefully peeked over the fence and saw a beautiful flower garden filled with roses, daisies, and tulips. But there was no sign of Whiskers. "Maybe he's hiding," Max suggested. "Let's look closer." They walked around the garden, checking under bushes and behind flower pots. Mia tried calling out again, "Whiskers. Come out, kitty." But there was still no response. Just as they were about to give up, they heard a faint meow from behind a large bush. Mia's face lit up. "Whiskers," she whispered, moving closer. She slowly parted the branches and found a small kitten, not Whiskers, but a tiny, gray kitten with big green eyes. "Oh, you're not Whiskers," Mia said, slightly disappointed but also relieved that they found a kitten. "Where is my cat?" Max smiled. "Well, we found a kitten. Maybe someone is missing their pet, too." Mia nodded, picking up the kitten gently. "Let's take it to Mrs. Lopez. Maybe she knows who it belongs to." Chapter 4: A Surprise Clue. They brought the kitten to Mrs. Lopez, who smiled warmly. "Oh, you found little Muffin. Thank you so much, children. Muffin belongs to my neighbor, Mrs. Green. She'll be so happy to have her kitten back." Mia handed the kitten to Mrs. Lopez, still worried about Whiskers. "We still need to find my cat," she said softly. Mrs. Lopez nodded. "Don't worry, dear. I'm sure Whiskers will come back soon. You know, cats are curious creatures. Sometimes they just wander off for a little adventure." Max looked at Mia. "Where should we look next?" Mia thought for a moment. "Maybe we should go to the town square. There are lots of shops and places for a cat to hide." They thanked Mrs. Lopez and headed toward the town square. As they walked, Max tried to cheer Mia up by telling her funny stories about his dog, Buddy. He talked about how Buddy once chased a squirrel into a tree and got stuck on a low branch, and how his dad had to climb up to get him down. Mia laughed. "That sounds like something Whiskers would do. He's always getting into trouble." When they reached the town square, it was bustling with activity. People were shopping, chatting, and going about their day. Mia and Max started their search by the bakery, where the smell of fresh bread filled the air. They asked the baker if he had seen Whiskers, but he hadn't. They moved on to the flower shop, the bookstore, and even the ice cream stand, but no one had seen the orange cat. Just when Mia was starting to lose hope, they heard a familiar sound, a soft meow coming from an alleyway. Chapter 5: The Alley Adventure. Mia and Max quickly turned and headed toward the alley. The sound of the meow grew louder as they got closer. Mia's heart raced with excitement. "Whiskers? Is that you?" As they entered the alley, they saw a group of stray cats gathered around a trash can. At first, Mia felt nervous, but Max reassured her. "Don't worry, they're just looking for food. Let's see if Whiskers is among them." Mia carefully approached the cats and called out, "Whiskers. The stray cats looked at her curiously but did not move. Suddenly, she heard another meow, this time from behind a stack of crates. "Whiskers?" Mia whispered, moving closer to the crates. She slowly peeked around the corner, and there he was, her beloved orange tabby, looking a little dirty but unharmed. "Whiskers!" Mia cried out in relief, rushing to scoop him up in her arms. Whiskers meowed again and snuggled into her embrace, purring softly. Max grinned. "We found him." Mia hugged Whiskers tightly. "I was so worried about you. Don't ever run away like that again." Chapter 6: A Happy Ending. Mia and Max walked back to Mia's house with Whiskers safely in her arms. As they walked, Mia thanked Max for his help. "I couldn't have done it without you, Max. You're a great friend." Max smiled. "I'm glad I could help. And who knows, maybe one day Buddy and Whiskers can be friends, too." When they reached Mia's house, her mom was waiting on the porch. She saw Whiskers in Mia's arms and rushed over. "Oh, Mia, you found him. I'm so glad." Mia nodded. "Yes, we found him with a little help from Max and Mrs. Lopez." Her mom smiled at Max. "Thank you for helping, Max. You're always welcome here." Max blushed slightly and waved goodbye. "It was fun. I'll see you around, Mia." As Max left, Mia took Whiskers inside. She gave him a bath, fed him his favorite meal, and then cuddled with him on the couch. Whiskers seemed happy to be home, purring loudly as he settled down beside Mia. That night, as Mia drifted off to sleep with Whiskers curled up next to her, she thought about all the people she met and the little adventures they had that day. She realized that sometimes, even when things go wrong, you can find new friends and have unexpected adventures. Mia smiled, hugging Whiskers close. "I'm glad you're home, Whiskers. But no more running away, okay?" Whiskers blinked sleepily, as if agreeing. Mia closed her eyes, feeling happy and content. She knew that tomorrow would be another bright and sunny day, full of new possibilities and, hopefully, fewer surprises.